Coxswains, once we start the first piece, you're on your own. All right, so just finish the workout. So it's typical Friday, 3 minutes on, 1 minute off. All right.
In 2010, the St. Joseph's Women's Varsity 8 earned the opportunity to travel to Oxfordshire, England, to compete at the prestigious Henley Regatta on the River Thames.
At this particular race, it was a total out-of-body experience because, like, you're going through all this pain, but at the same time, you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is happening. So it's just a total, like, whirlwind of emotions.
Like, our first practice out there was pretty cool. It was, like, nerve-wracking and, like, scary, but it was exciting.
Get in here.
Coach Gary Quinlan shares how the Dadvale Regatta Organizing Committee, along with Aberdeen Asset Management and St. Joe's alumni, made the dream of competing at Henley a reality for these 9 athletes. Coach Gary, can you tell me a little bit about how the St. Joe's women's crew team had the opportunity to go to Henley last year?
Sure. We were, first day of the year, we knew we were eligible again for the Henley trip. So the NCAA dictates that we can only go to Henley every 4 years. So we went in 2006. So the first day of practice, we said, to put it on the table, this is the last time we're going to talk about it, that Henley's kind of, is on the table. If we want to go, we've got to show the speed, we've got to show that we can get there, and we can compete, but it's on the table. And then we didn't talk about it again. I think they talked about it every day, but I didn't talk about it again. So we got to Dadvale, and the conditions were rough. It was we knew that the late lanes were going to be good, 4, 5, and 6. So we in the semifinal, the good thing about Dadvale is you know where you end up. If you end up second in the heat, you end up in this lane. So we raced for lane 5. We knew lane 5 and 6 were going to be the best lanes, and I guess being a hometown team, you kind of know that. So it's probably one of the only times of the year where actually lane 6 was a really good lane. So
right, with that headwind.
Right. So going in the final, we knew we knew it was going to be tough, and we knew when we got to the island, lane 6 was going to have an advantage on us. So as we would have an advantage on 4 and 3 and 2 and so on. So we had an open water lead coming by here. We had probably 3 seconds on Sacramento State.
It was really, really tight race. It was probably the most pain I've ever been in, and it was hard, but it was really good because we had so much confidence in each other, and that everyone was pulling as hard as they possibly could.
Coming to the top of the island, with the Sacramento State did exactly what we would have done. They took advantage of the conditions. They picked up their rate, and the lead was just short. We knew we needed a huge lead going to the island, and we had a huge lead. We just needed a 1 second more lead. So they took us at the end, so we finished second. They were just basket cases. They were so upset that they came in second. So, so the athletic director, who's at all our events, was at the dock, and he told us. He asked me what was wrong. Why are they so upset? They were second, and I said, well, 2 things. One, they expected to win. We're here to win. But also, I think in the back of their minds, they realized that they just lost the trip to Henley. So Don DeJulia asked. He said, well, how much? I said, I don't have a lot of money, to go there over there.
Right.
So he told me to come into his office the next day, and we'll talk about it. So I told the girls, again, we're out of school at that point, so I told the girls, don't go home. Let me give you a call tomorrow. No, we couldn't start practice right away, but so Don DeJulia told us he spoke with the president and the board of trustees, and we were approved to go. We just had to figure out now how we were going to pay for it. Sacramento State obviously won the trip from the Dadvale. Day later, we got the call from Sacramento State coach called me and told me we're not going to go. So the Dadvale committee awarded the trip to us, so that made it a lot easier. Dadvale paid for our plane tickets. Aberdeen Asset Management paid for our housing and all our meals in Henley. Actually hired us a chef. We stayed at their house looked right at the finish line of the race course. We couldn't have gotten closer to the race course. It was quite an experience. It was great for the girls to be treated as as top class athletes. So that was just a great experience. That our sport's very much below the radar a lot, and it really felt like we were the top of the world at that point. We were the focus.
So right before you got there, and you got that call that Sacramento had dropped out and were giving up their seat to go to Henley, and the realization finally struck home that your team was actually going to go to Henley. How did you react, and what did you do to prepare?
Well, we let the girls go home for a week because again we're not allowed to practice 10 days before we leave. So they went home for a week, told them stay in shape, and then we started kind of scrambling to get to make the experience better for the girls. So instead of we didn't want to just go for for a week in Henley. We're allowed to go for 2 weeks per the NCAA, so we started to put a 2-week trip together. So we spoke to Oxford, and we went and trained at their boathouse for a week. They have a boathouse that's just a few years old. With the Oxford Blues race, so we borrowed their boats. Stayed in the town of Oxford, which was great. And then after 7 days, we moved down to Henley. And then once we got to Henley, Aberdeen and Dadvale took care of everything.
It was awesome. For me, it was my first time out of the country. So it was definitely just awesome to get out of here. But not only to do that, but do it with my best friends, my teammates. And it was just so exciting. Like getting the news, I just thought it was like we won the Super Bowl. We were finally doing this. Like we were jumping on the beds, like throwing pillows at each other. It was hilarious. But I mean, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything in the world.
I mean, I never wanted to win so bad, and it's just we were there, and it was so amazing that we all got there together.
Nerves are crazy. It's just because you know that you're not going to necessarily have another chance to do something like this, and when you're sitting at the starting line there and you can see the other crew right across next from you, and just the adrenaline as you're waiting for the call that you're ready to get going and the gun to shoot off, and it's insane. There's no other feeling like it.
Yeah, the other crew was just a little bit faster. It was a hard-fought race all the way down. We traded the lead 4 and 5 times. And I think it was the best race we could put together. So it just wasn't good enough to get us all the way through. So
What's it feel like emotionally? You know, you're on the dock, you watch the girls push off, and you've trained all year, and especially those last 2 weeks. What's that like? What are you thinking?
No, it's tough. I mean, it's in their hands now. But it really always is in their hands. I always tell the girls it's their team. I just work here. So they determine how hard they work. They determine the importance of winning and losing. So when you shove them off, it's actually relaxed. Like I've never, I think I went and grabbed a cheeseburger and something to drink and waited for them to come down. So at that point, there's not much I can do. So
right.
And they're great athletes, so they know they'll make adjustments. They'll get themselves ready. They're ready to go. So there was certainly no lack of emotion during that race at all.
4 of the 9 St. Joe's teammates who competed at Henley in 2010 have since graduated. However, their memories and leadership live on in the St. Joe's Boathouse and with their 5 other team members.
I think it's a big learning experience. So we didn't do that well, but we know, I guess, that we made it that far, and that was great. And we had each other.
Yeah. It will be another 4 years before the St. Joseph's Women's Varsity 8 are eligible to compete at Henley again. The freshman members of the team are hopeful and training hard for the 2011 Aberdeen Dadvale Regatta, presented by Coca-Cola.